Great. So I wanted to talk about vitamins and minerals today and pose the question, are you getting enough vitamins and minerals? Are you absorbing enough is more to the point. So I really wanted to touch on this topic today, and I've only got 15 minutes, so I don't want to go into too much detail. I want to give you an overview so you have a better understanding of the information and the sort of things you can do. And I always like to bring in health information, Kurt, that people can use in addition to, taking our great range of sizzle supplements, but things that they can do towards their diet, also their lifestyle, and other choices that could actually make a difference to their overall health. So I like to share that information with you so that after we finish this presentation, you feel there was a few bits of good information, bite-sized nuggets of information that I can use and can help me. So let me get into the topic today, but also before I do, I also want to put out a quick disclaimer. None of the information I share is designed to prevent, treat, or cure any disease or illness. You should consult your healthcare professional before taking supplements, particularly if you're unwell and the information has not been approved by the FDA. So let's jump into the information. So I wanted to talk about gut health and nutrition, and specifically vitamin and mineral absorption. So let me share this here. Okay, so 5 factors that affect nutrient absorption. So you might be asking, am I getting enough vitamins and minerals? How do I know if I'm getting enough vitamins and minerals? Well, there are 5 things, actually, and I've added an extra one that was left off. So let me say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. So say 6 today that I want to cover. Look, and to be honest, there's a lot more than that. There's going to be many, many different factors that are going to affect nutrient absorption. Each of us are slightly different. We have different genetics. Obviously the human body works in the same way, but genetics really plays a big role, and we're in different environments and we're exposed to different things. So our bodies are going to respond in a unique way. And those unique subtle differences can make a big difference. And I will touch on a couple of those, but let me get into the points that I've got here on the slide today. So levels of good gut bacteria, really critical in being able to break down and digest food properly and absorb your vitamins and minerals specifically. People think about gut bacteria just in the intestinal tract, but you've got bacteria in your mouth as well. And one way to see if your mouth is in balance, so maybe after this call, pop into the bathroom, have a look in the mirror, stick out your tongue, and if your tongue is coated and is quite white instead of nice and pink, then you probably could have potentially an imbalance of bacteria, and that is also often referred to in the mouth. You can get thrush or candida in the mouth, and that is a white coating on the tongue. So if you do see that on your tongue, I would recommend that, if it were me, to take action and try and address that. And some of the things we're talking about today may actually help you. And of course, as I said, it's always important to consult a healthcare professional. My background and qualifications are in health. I've done a lot of study in nutrition and health. I've got a degree in that, but obviously I'm not a doctor, so I cannot advise you in that regard. Mucoid plaque is a really important point. So in our digestive tract, specifically the small intestine, we get this kind of mucus build up, and it can block nutrient absorption, which we'll touch on a bit later. Cell integrity of the gut. So you've got these junctions in the lining of your small intestine, which is the first part of your digestive tract. And if they're healthy, they're nice and tight, and they don't let food particles or foreign particles pass through, and they maintain the integrity of your gut. So it's important that they're in good health. Chewing food properly. How many of us wolf down our food? My mum was taught as a nurse, she had 10 minutes for a meal break, and they just used to wolf down their food, hardly chew it, and just swallow really quickly. So chewing is a really important part of the digestive process, to take your time. So to sit down and take your time to eat your food, not be eating food on the run. People were eating food walking or driving. You want to be able to make that time and sit down and eat your food. And I love doing these talks because this is as good as a reminder for myself, as well as for anyone listening to the information. After I get off the call, I think, yeah, these are things I need to bring some more balance back into my life and do a check on some of these things. Maintain healthy stomach acid levels. So we're going to touch on that a little bit later on. And the sixth one that I added today is genetics. You cannot go past your genetics. And depending on, and Dr. Kurt and I have talked about gene SNPs before. We've both done a test called the Smart DNA. There's other tests available, but basically looking at your genetics to see, do you have any tendencies towards or an inability to absorb certain vitamins and minerals? And they can actually test for that. It doesn't mean that you'll actually be deficient or have too much of that vitamin or mineral, but it is an indication that it can be. And so I found that to be extremely useful. So for instance, if I talk about myself in terms of genetics, I absorb iron extremely well, like too well. And I really don't have to eat red meat or anything like that. I just absorb iron from everything. And my levels jump up really quickly. And that's because I have a genetic disorder in that regard called hemochromatosis. And there's other people, some of my friends who just don't have any iron at all. When they measure their iron from the doctor, their levels are very low. And that's because they don't have those genetic things going on. But you don't actually have to have a genetic issue like hemochromatosis. You could just have a tendency where you don't absorb as much, vitamin C or vitamin D. And you wouldn't actually know this unless, well, intuitively, you might know it and you might have picked up on it if you're really in tune with your body and you've been doing some research and paying attention and consulting with a healthcare professional. But if you don't have that test, you wouldn't actually know. So I think that's really important to mention. And I'm a big one for testing. I certainly don't just take vitamins and minerals willy-nilly. I get tested. So you can go and ask your GP to test you for things like vitamin D. They can test you for B12. They can test you for magnesium, zinc, iron. They can test you for a whole range of vitamins and minerals, key ones. So I highly recommend that. And I certainly get mine checked on a regular basis. I'm always monitoring. I'm taking something and then I'll go back and monitor it and get it retested and see where I'm at. Because I'm always trying to keep it in the optimal range. That's the level of detail I go to for me. A lot of people might find that too difficult. But, when you do go to your doctor for a checkup, why not ask for those tests? Most doctors will test for not quite a few, definitely vitamin D they will test for. Some of the others, they might be reluctant. But you can order those tests online yourselves, whether you're in America or Australia. You can order blood tests for yourself online and self-refer. They are available. So I wanted to put that out there. So hopefully some of those things I've touched on already may assist you today. So eating a balanced diet is obviously really important. And so that's where we get our nutrients from, our food. And deficiencies present themselves in a number of ways. So we could have fatigue or dried skin. We might feel the cold. We might have thinning hair. Our complexion mightn't be great. We might have skin irritations. There could be a whole bunch of different things going on. Now, it's quite amazing. The human body is extremely resilient. We can actually go probably for a lot of our life with a deficiency that may not result, in immediate death. Obviously, we're all going to die someday. But what happens is if you do have serious deficiencies, you would probably spend a large portion feeling quite unwell most of the time. And then eventually it can turn into something more serious. So that's really important to note as well. So we get our nutrients, and I'm mindful of time because I do want to talk about some products today. But, we break down macronutrients into micronutrients. So, for example, protein is actually broken down into amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks that make up protein. And glucose is created by our body by breaking down carbohydrates. And they all break down at different rates. And that's where you've got the GI factor coming in, glycemic index, as how quickly carbohydrates or food breaks down and turns to glucose. And not necessarily carbohydrates, any type of food. So after we break down our food, it passes through our stomach and it passes into our small intestine. So for those of you listening to the recording or on the call, one example, we've got a product called the H pill, and that pill is actually designed to be taken before food. It has an enteric coated capsule, and it is designed to break down in the first part of the digestive tract, which is a small intestine just past your stomach. And that is for maximum absorption because stomach acid actually destroys the contents of that supplement sensitive to stomach acid. So we want to absorb things and they get into our bloodstream and then transported to various parts of our body. So probiotics is really important. Sizzle have a fantastic probiotic called Balance D. And so we'll touch on that a bit towards the end. And actually, probiotics do assist in digesting foods. So enhancing the synthesis of B vitamins and improving calcium absorption. So it is important to have a good level of healthy bacteria, and probiotics can support your body in that way. So here we've got some points here. So it supports cellular health, and it supports cholesterol levels. It supports, produces lactase to potentially help those who are lactose intolerant. It produces vitamins B12, folic acid, and B6. So it supports a healthy colon. So it's really important to have adequate good bacteria in your gut. And certainly if you've been taking an antibiotic, you'd want to follow up with a good quality probiotic. And I highly recommend the Balance D is a fantastic product. So cell integrity, we touched on that a little earlier. So gut integrity is involved. They've done many studies, and you can go and research yourself. I've just pulled up a study here. So gut integrity in critical illness. The gut is often not in a good state for somebody who's critically ill. So the gut gets injured, and it contributes to potentially organ dysfunction. There's lots of information you can read on that, but it's just really important that you often hear people say, start with your gut health first. If you really want to improve your overall health, start with getting your gut and bowels moving and working properly. Now, this is a little picture of the villi that line the intestinal tract, the small intestinal tract, and you can see these little cells. And when they become loose, little particles pass through. So you can see on the right one, these little red particles can pass through into the bloodstream and can kick off the immune system and cause problems. So gut health is really important. And you've heard of the mind gut connection. So if your tummy's upset, if you're constipated or bloated or just uncomfortable in your stomach, you know, obviously it affects your mood. You don't feel so good. And also the bacteria in your stomach do have a connection to your brain. So it does impact our mood significantly. We talked about mucoid plaque. Here's a great picture. And you can see that the mucoid plaque on the right, that's the small intestine, is coating the lining there. So that obviously is going to impact the absorption of vitamins and minerals. So if you've got a backlog of waste matter, if you're suffering from constipation, if you've never had a good clean out and had your bowels moving properly, then, you know, you're not going to absorb things as well. There are other things that you can do. Is obviously eating enough fiber will help with a healthy intestinal tract. 25 to 35 grams a day is what's recommended. Most people don't even know which foods have fiber. They wouldn't even know how to increase their fiber. So if you really do want optimum health, you're listening to these calls, there's some basic things you do want to educate yourself about. You do want to be informed. You do want to be educated on some basic facts about health. And I'd highly recommend learning a little bit about fiber so that you know that you're getting enough each day so you can keep healthy bowel movements. We do have a fantastic product called Super Detox. It can assist you with that, with getting your bowels moving, and it can help to support the body to remove that plaque. And of course, drinking 2 liters of water a day. So we talked about chewing food and how important that is. So I'll skip over that one. Another factor is that people take a lot of medications, and certain medications can interfere with nutrient absorption. So it may be impacting your vitamin and mineral absorption. So if you're taking acid blocking medication, you can look on the instructions on there, and it does say in the small print, it may affect your B12 absorption, can affect potentially other nutrient absorption too. So if you are taking medications, or a lot of them, you're potentially more likely possibly to develop nutrient deficiencies. And again, this is where I say, go back to your healthcare professional, go back to your doctor. You might see a naturopath, you might see a doctor or another healthcare provider that's qualified to assist you, and you can get them to do some tests for you. Again, you can self-refer for some testing. The other thing that can help is some apple cider vinegar. You could try adding that to your meals. Digestive enzymes are really important in breaking down your food and assisting you to absorb those nutrients. So that is a simple home remedy that may make your tummy feel a bit better as well. So I thought I'd add that in there. So finally, in closing, I just touched for a few minutes on the great range that we have and how these can support you. So I've talked a little bit about the super detox and how that can get your bowels moving, support your body to remove that mucoid plaque, and that way it's going to enable you to facilitate your own body to absorb vitamins and minerals better. We recommend taking that product, say, once every 3 months or so to give yourself a good clean out. It's a great product to try if you haven't tried. It's quite inexpensive. You can couple that with a balanced D. So you've got your pre and probiotics. There's some vitamin D in there as well, and a little bit of fiber. So it is a great all-round product, and you can take that. I've been giving that product to my dog as well. In fact, I give a lot of my products to my dog as well. And my dog's looking fantastic and hasn't been to the vet. He's 9 at the moment. Actually, it's not true. He has been to the vet for, he had kennel cough when he was a baby, caught it at the park. But anyway, he's always mostly pretty healthy, and I don't have to worry about him at all. So it's not, I also give it to my pets as well. That's how much I believe in these products. Body Shield is a great product. So fulvic acid is one of the key ingredients in this product, and fulvic acid helps with the cell integrity of the lining of the gut. So when we saw those pictures before and I showed you those cells and they're being tight together, it helps with the junctions and keeping them healthy. It also helps with potentially removing some heavy metals, and it just helps to create and support a good microbiome in the small intestinal tract. So this is a fantastic product, highly recommend it. And I actually take 4 of those every day now. So I'm on a double dose of that because that's how much I love that product. Spectromax, so you've got your vitamins and minerals in there, key vitamins, key minerals, you've got some fulvic acid in there as well. The list, if you've got a bottle or if you're interested in looking at it, have a look at the ingredient list of Spectromax. It will blow your mind. It's got every vegetable and fruit extract under the sun. It's got your key vitamins. It's packed full. It's a packed full liquid nutritional. And yes, I give that one to my dog as well as the fucoidan. The fucoidan helps to support the gut. It helps to support the body and the body's fight against inflammation. And it helps to support the immune system. So fucoidan is called mother's milk in China. So think about what mother's milk does, and that is their other name for it. You can go to PubMed and you can look up the key ingredient, which is spelled FUCOIDAN, and have a look at all the studies that come up that support the body on that. So that is a really great product. So we do need our nutritional support, especially if we're not getting it from our diet. And there are many reasons why you may not get it from your diet, and I mentioned them at the start of the presentation. So hopefully this information has been useful to you. I love talking about this topic because I really want to impart some knowledge to you. I want to motivate you into taking some action, doing even a little bit of research for yourself, and working out how you can make some improvements that can help you feel better and look better and live longer. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this information, and thank you for taking the time and getting on